installment in our YouTube Questions with Susan. I'm sitting in the same place that I was sitting for the first installment. Winter wheat behind me, pickup trucks going up and down the road. We're outside the Peace Hill Press office, and it is a beautiful day, so we're doing this outside despite wind and passing vehicles. I wanted to address this. This is a slightly more complicated set of questions, but this is the sort of thing that we hear very often, and there's a sort of a desperation behind this particular set of questions that makes me want to talk about this particular topic. So I'm not going to give this questioner's name. I'm just going to give you a little bit of the story here. This is a mother whose children are aged 12, 11, 10, and 9. So she's got 4 close together. All my kids were in public schools until 2009, and I pulled them out for several reasons, the largest being that they're all falling behind. And, you know, this mother has 4 children who are already behind, approaching or in that middle school age, which is when it becomes difficult to start to catch up on some of these skills. You know, if you pull a 3rd grader out, she doesn't have that much chance to get behind. An older student is a little bit more challenging. And she says, as I'm reading The Well-Trained Mind, I don't know how or where to start them at the ages that they're at. So, first question, how do I know where to start them at? We hear this question a lot. So, first principle, whenever you are starting a child that you feel is behind in their education, you want to start them right in at grade level in the content areas. So the content areas are history, to a large degree science, literature, anything that involves studying a body of knowledge, as opposed to developing the skills that you need to study that body of knowledge. You want to start them in as close to grade level as you possibly can. There are several reasons for this. Probably the largest has to do with their sense of themselves. You do not want to take a 6th or 7th grader and put them back in a 4th or 5th grade history or science or literature book. They're at the age where that's incredibly discouraging to them. So you want to try to give them a sense that in this area they're okay. You know, they're not behind, they're keeping up, they can study the same kind of material that other students their age are studying. If you're trying to follow any of the sequences in the well-trained mind, then stop. You know, don't think to yourself, I've always got to start with the ancients in history. I've always got to start with biology. Put the child in at grade level. With an older student, it's often very good to ask them, what do you want to study? What era of history do you want to study? Where do you want to start in science? And give them a sense of ownership over the material. Start them in at grade level. Don't try to catch up. They're never going to learn all of history. They're never going to learn all of literature. They're never going to learn all of science. There's always going to be catching up to do in that sense. So you can't get obsessed with, wait, they didn't do ancient history and medieval history, so should I just start in on the Renaissance? If they want to, and that's grade level, yes, you should. So that's the first principle. But the second principle is that when it comes to skills, and when I say skills, I'm talking about spelling, writing, actual mechanical, getting those words down on paper, grammar. For younger children, actually being able to read phonetically and learning math facts, learning the basics of math. It doesn't matter how old the child is or how embarrassed they might be, you have to go back and rebuild those basic skills. So if you have a child that can't spell and he's in 7th grade, you maybe need to take him back to a 4th or 5th grade spelling workbook. If you have a child who's in 8th grade and doesn't understand the math facts, you have to go back and do them. So, grade level, on grade level with the subjects, but you have to go back with the skills to the area where they're deficient. Now, in terms of finding out where that is, the best thing to do is to give them a couple pages of grammar from a grammar book, a couple of pages from a math book, and see if they can do it without struggling. If they can't, you back up a grade. Give them a couple pages of grammar, give them a couple of pages of math, see if they struggle. And you back up until the point where they can easily do the work in that particular book, and then you start to go forward. Older children are going to progress more quickly, probably, through a lot of those steps. So you don't have to worry, first of all, that if you start your 12-year-old back in a 3rd grade math book, that he's still going to be behind when he graduates from high school. He's not. He's going to catch on up. But you also have to remember that even if the student doesn't catch all the way up, it doesn't solve anything to continue to push them forward in those skills if they haven't mastered the basics. The basics are a foundation. If you're pushing the child forward in something like grammar or writing or math, and they don't have the basics, they're just struggling. They're scrambling, trying to do it by instinct, just desperately trying to keep up. They're not building additional skills. So you're not getting anywhere at that point. So knowing where to start is a difficult question. Those are some general guidelines. Yeah, if any of you out there in TV land, this isn't TV land anymore, I'm showing my age.
No, it's
what
not
do we
TV
call
land.
it? It's internet land. If any of you out there on the other side of this computer screen have specific questions about specific subjects, that would be interesting actually to answer, and that might be helpful to others. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry about the product placement. This is like American Idol.
Well, not exactly.
No, not exactly.